now it's time to move to Lithuania. And I will invite here Ieva Paukštytė Schinello, and she represents National Museum of Lithuania, and she will speak about unusual museum objects made of food products, challenges of conservation and preservation. The floor is yours.
Thank you for introducing me. Good afternoon. My today's report is about unusual museum objects made of food products, challenges and of conservation and preservation. Since ancient times, bread has been a major importance in the daily life of people. The origin of the bread dates back to the Neolithic area, more than 6,000 years ago, when the first bread was made. Probably it could be just grain mixed with water. Despite this, in the northwest Jordan researchers discovered remains of flatbread baked by hunter-gatherers 14,400 years ago. This is the oldest known evidence of the use of wild cereals for making bread. In the course of excavations, archaeologists often find the remnants of various food in graves or ceramic fragments. These investigations let them reveal what kind of remnants of bread what kind of food was used in ancient times. In Lithuania, the oldest remnants of bread dated from 9th to 13th century were found. It was identified as rye bread. Some grains of rye were something not working. Not working. Okay, thank you. Okay. On the other hand, the bread and the flour, as well as other foodstuff, have been utilized for the creations of different items, like figurines of man, animal, and so on. It was quite widely spread over the world. At first, it was made on some occasions like wedding, festive, religious holidays, and others. A history of bread is reflected in numerous museums worldwide. In Europe, such a tradition were popular, for example, in Italy, Sardinia, Serbia, Poland, and other countries. In the 19th-20th centuries, small household altars in Lithuania houses commonly featured sacred images made using various techniques. Bread being readily available and symbolically holy food carried ritual meaning when used to form relief images. Historically, prisoners and exiles, as in this case, participants of the 1863 uprising, often created miniature religious images from bread, which they kneaded, shaped, and dried. Bread was the only material accessible to them. It is hard to say when this tradition has begun in Lithuania, but in the National Museum of Lithuania there is a number of such artifacts. For example, gingerbread cookies were made for Christmas or Easter. Other artifacts such as decoration and religious pictures may be in the middle of the 19th century or earlier. There isn't much experience in conservation of bread artifacts in Lithuania. A good example could be a successful conservation of 5 rosaries and cross and a pendant with the image of saint from a local museum of Utena. It was confirmed that they were made of bread, and finally rye, wheat, barley cultures were identified. The items were cleaned, disinfected, reinforced, and conserved using Klucel G solution in ethyl alcohol. In 2012, in Conservation Center of the National Museum of Lithuania, 7 artifacts made of bread, medallion, rosary, and bracelet dated second half of the 19th century as a memory of 1863 uprising in Lithuania were cleaned and conserved. In this paper, case studies of a recent examination and conservation of a few artifacts made of bread and flour, gingerbread cookies, figurine of man, and picture of Jesus are presented. Before the conservation, artifacts underwent thorough examination in infrared, spectral, FTIR, as well as microchemical, qualitative, and heating effect analysis were performed. Four-way transfer infrared spectral analysis was carried out using spectrophotometer Shimatsu with a spectral range wave number from 4,000 to 401 per centimeter, scan number 40, a resolution 1 per centimeter, speed 2,8. Also, some spectra were obtained with the infrared microscope with liquid nitrogen. Samples were squeezed between diamond windows. Spectral range wave number from 4,000 to 401 per centimeter. Scan number 200. Resolution of 1 per centimeter, speed 9. The spectra were processed by IR solution software completed with standard IR spectra and other libraries. Optical microscopy was carried out using microscope Olympus and microphotographs Olympus SZX12 with digital camera respectively, as well as heating oven B number from 30 to 3,000 Celsius. Comparing our spectra, we can see that absorption bands of the objects matches well with characteristics carbohydrate bands with the present in standard IR spectrum of soda. FTIR analysis has showed that the outer layer of standing man figurine is made of wheat, flour, or dough, while inside the flour is mixed with probably fine sand. The presence of silicate dioxide was determined. Also, the red dye was identified to be alizarin, a bone black pigment. In a sorry. In the portrait of Jesus, brown substance was identified to be bread dough. Dark places, dough mixed with bone black pigment, yellowish ornaments, varnish, and the blue fabric, back side of the picture, cotton fiber dyed with Prussian blue. The gingerbread cookies are made of wheat, flour, or dough. For the decoration, egg white glaze and sugar were applied. A small statuette of standing man, author Basil Tunitsky, 1930, a body mold on a metal support mounted to a wooden stand. The artifact was found and brought to restoration, broken into 23 fragments. Shreds were extremely fragile, surface dirty. After thorough examination, it came out that some details are missing. On the head, only remains of black hair were visible. In the face, it was mustache. On the chest, it was black belt and in the right hand, most likely he would hold a stick. Since the surface of the statue was sensitive to the water, application of swabs moistened to ethanol was chosen and enabled to clean dirt effectively. The consolidation with 5% paraloid B72 in ethanol was carried out. Corroded metal support was cleaned mechanically, impregnated with tannin solution. All the fragments were glued with 35% paraloid B72 solution. The mixture of the same glue and fine sand was employed to fill the missing part of the man's body in order to reinforce stability of the sculpture and to give it more entire view. An analogous sculpture of the woman was found in Poland antiquaries. Possibly such a technique could be quite spread. Another example of conservation of artifacts made of bread is gingerbread cookies, dated 1957-1962. These cookies are very popular during Christmas or Easter fairs in Lithuania, and traditionally made of the dough of wheat, flour, and honey, decorated with sugar glaze, dyed with edible dyes. In total, 48 items of various shapes were brought to the conservation center. They were in different conditions, some of them quite solid, some broken, or a glaze falling apart. In general, all of them were fragile, with visible traces of insects. Gingerbread cookies and broken glaze crumbs were placed in the freezer at the temperature of -32 degrees for a week in order to eliminate insect infestation. A glaze was glued 10% glucel G water solution with addition of 2% sodium fluoride as an antiseptic for prevention of mold and other surface pests. Finally, separate boxes for every cookie according to the size were made to prevent mechanical impact during the storage. The third case concerns cleaning and conservation of the small sacred relief portrait of Jesus, which is made of bread dough. The rectangular piece measures approximately from 10 to 12 centimeters and is framed with a small decorative elements, strips and small beads. At the center, within an oval frame raised up to 3 centimeters and is a depiction of Jesus. The object is dark brown with the darker areas visible on Jesus' face and along the edges. In these areas, dough is mixed with a bone black pigment and edges decorated with yellowish varnish. As in earlier discussed case, due to the incorrect storage conditions, and artifact was extremely brittle, cracked, warped, friable, with losses and missing fragments of the decorative details. Surface was covered with dust and traces of insects. The bread-based panel is mounted on blue velvet fabric. On the lower part of the velvet fabric, a small paper label with a handwritten inscription in Polish is attached. According to the inscription, this bread image was made by a participant of the 1863 uprising in Volkovist district of the Grodno Governorate. The velvet backing fabric was fried edges, darkened circular stains in the corners and accumulated dirt. The paper label is yellowed. First of all, the surface was cleaned with a soft brush to eliminate some contaminations. Based on our previous experience and practices of other conservation laboratories, the object was consolidated using the cellulose-based synthetic polymer glucel G in 0.25% aqueous alcohol solution. The objects extremely examined and conserved in this study are unique in composition, though all are based on flower-derived materials. Although such artifacts are not numerous in the museum collection, their fragile organic nature, extreme sensitivity to unsuitable environmental conditions, and existing deterioration make their preservation an unavoidable and ongoing challenge. This material has so far been insufficiently studied. However, the careful laboratory analysis performed confirming the composition and characteristics of the investigated objects enabled the selection of the most appropriate conservation and restoration methods and materials. Overall, the applied treatments, including freezing for pests, eradication, ethanol cleaning, consolidation with glucose G or paraloid B72, stabilization of metal elements, and gap filling with the competitive mixtures, provide effective restoring structural stability and ensuring safe long-term preservation. These case studies demonstrate that despite their inherent vulnerability, flower-based artifacts can be successfully conserved when adapted approaches are employed. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Ieva, for such a comprehensive presentation. Do we have questions from the audience? Very interesting topic. Yes, we have there one question.
Hello, so thank you for this interesting presentation. My name is Christina. I'm from the Estonian National Museum, and my question is, you did the analysis with all the artifacts. Did you also try to find a recipe of how exactly these objects were made, or can you make them today, or do you now know the exact recipe?
These objects are not so often in our museum, and now we're still looking for the one recipe. There is, we are how to say. We are looking forward for the articles, how in the world people conserving and consolidating and preserving such artifacts. And we tried two methods to consolidate with paraloid B72 or with glucose G. Both of these methods didn't make such a big change with these objects, didn't damage, didn't change the color, and we have samples, examples. For example, 20 years ago, we conserved some rosarias in our museum with paraloid B72, and it isn't changed at all. So we are expecting that our methods are the best way to preserve this kind of objects. Did I answer it a little bit?
But these objects weren't never meant to be eaten, right? The gingerbreads as well. So
no. Okay. No, but it's objects from the bread are quite strong themselves to survive, because they have usually such a cookies and such a artifacts has some sugar or salt elements which are conserving themselves. But to conserve them better, to eliminate some insects and so on. This is our job, and we are preventing. So we hope this prevention will keep them another 100 years.
Thank you for the delicious presentation. I have a question also. Rene from Pallas University of Applied Sciences. And the question is that we don't smell what was in the screen, but if you worked with those objects, have they still some spice smell or not?
No, I didn't realize any smell. Yeah. It's pity, but...
Yeah, thank you. Clear.
I also have one question. Is this a living tradition? Do people still make them?
About the cookies?
No, not about the cookies, but the beads.
Sorry. No. This is, I think so. This not a tradition. This is made by Exalts in 1863. So it's quite specific atmosphere in which.
So you can't go to the shop or to an artist who would make you some.
Maybe in future someone will catch this idea, and it could be quite original.
Yes, I think it would be quite good sales point. But I also have a question about the gingerbread. I know Christina already asked, like, were the gingerbread meant for eating, or were they not? Like the gingerbread, the decorated gingerbread, they were meant for what originally? If they were not for eating, it's for eating. So, but. Yes, so that was my question. Why those gingerbread ended up then in a collection?
Yeah. Why these gingerbread?
Yes. If they were meant for eating originally. Yeah, if they were.
Just they are very good sample of history, which I would say. Maybe in future for someone it would be interesting to see how it was in the past.
And I have last question. Do you have any special requirements when you want to exhibit them? Because it's an uncommon material. It's not paper. It's not a painting. It's flour. Yeah. So do you have established the requirements if you want to exhibit them? Like how long, how much light, how much moisture?
How long they will...
they could be exhibited. What are your rules if somebody wants to exhibit them?
As I told, the bread and things made of flour and baked things, which contains inside some other ingredients as other conservative conservation materials as sugar or salt makes them more stronger to survive. But after our interruption, I hope they will survive longer.
Thank you.
Yeah.
How often do you have to monitor these flower-based objects in the storage room? Like you do the inventory in once a year or once in 5 years? How often, you monitor when you have stored the gingerbreads?
How often?
Does the collection manager monitor online or go check every few?
No, we are always how to say. We are sorry. I didn't understand.
Oh, okay. Let's talk about it later. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you.